Around the Ozarks is now on your FM radio. Listen to Around the Ozarks mornings with Grace Gooley as I spotlight local people, stories, and podcasts, all while playing the country legends of the 90s and the hit makers of the 2000s. It's on the Ozarks Best Country, 105.1 The Bull. Hi, this is Joy Robertson. As many of you know, I love food. I love finding new restaurants. I love trying new dishes. And most of all, I love talking to the many great restaurateurs and entrepreneurs we have here in the Ozarks and beyond. I love hearing their stories, and that's what this podcast is all about, learning more about them and their journey. So join me as we savor the Ozarks. This episode is brought to you by Jim's Steakhouse and Pub and Springfield's locally owned Fazoli's.
Wise men say,
oh my God, listen to that voice.
Only fools rush in. Oh, but I can't help falling in love with joy.
Oh my gosh, you guys. I am so excited to introduce you to my friend, Louie Michael. Everybody thinks about going out to dinner. Everybody thinks about going out maybe to happy hour. But there's a lot of people in the Ozarks that love to go out dancing. And Louie Michael is making it happen at a place called the Stardust Ballroom. Louie, thanks for talking to me on Savor the Ozarks. I want to hear the backstory of the Stardust Ballroom. How did this get started?
I wish I could say it was something real exotic or exciting, but it happened on a trip back from out west with the majority owner, Mark Burgess, who many people know from Burgess Aircraft Management. He owns the Ozark Lunkers. He just opened up a beautiful little restaurant called Big Dog Deli on the northwest side of town. It's fabulous. But he and I we've worked on several projects together, and we do some real estate together. And we got to talking about how Louie always wished he had a dinner club like they had, back in the day in New York and different things where people would come out all dressed up and have a place to dance and a beautiful meal and whatnot. So we jumped on the airplane to head back home, one of Mark's airplanes, and he and I got to talking. He said, that's always been one of my dreams too, or a passion. I'd love to have a place for people to go dance. And so by the end of the flight, by the time we landed in Springfield a couple hours later, we had a business plan put together to put together the Stardust Ballroom. We came up with the name while we were traveling back, and our goal and Mark's goal was to have something that would be a cool place for people to dress up and wear a jacket and a tie and get the older generation out to dance and to have a place they could go that was comfortable on the south side of Springfield. It would be hopefully close to their home and have a bar with classic cocktails and the big band music and everything. So when we opened up in February of 24, we actually hired a big band. We put together a big band, had an orchestra on stage every weekend, and we would open up the doors at 6. We would start at 7. The band would start playing. I would sing, and I also had a young lady named Fresia that she sings around Springfield, does a lot of jazz and different things, but she spent 15 years at the Tropicana in Havana, Cuba, singing. And this girl, if you get a chance to see her, she's fabulous. But we had her here, and we actually did the big band thing for about 9 months. And so we did that every weekend, and our attendance some nights would be pretty good. Other nights we'd have nobody. And we just found out that people just weren't as excited about getting dressed up to go somewhere or having that be forced upon them to wear a jacket to come in. And we were reservation only. Mm-hmm. So there was a few things that we had to change. But the whole goal was to get the older generation out, the seniors, people over 55 on up, just to have somewhere for them to go and dance and listen to great live music.
Some of the old standards, which just make you want to get up out of your chair and, just move. It's beautiful music. And we're sitting here now. We're actually, you and I, Louie, are sitting on the stage of the Stardust Ballroom, and there are tables all around the edges with the lights on them. And, when you're in here, it's a very sort of intimate setting. You've got lights and you've got the music. And like you said, sometimes you have sort of a classic orchestra type big band, and other nights you might have a country artist in here.
Yeah, we've had country bands come in and play. We've had people wanting to play bluegrass. We haven't had one in here yet, but somebody's booked to play some bluegrass. We've also got the Detectives, which they call it rock and soul. They play a lot of 50s and 60s music. There's a huge variety. And the nights that we have just what we call a social dance, I'll sing, I'll perform, and I do everything from Engelbert to Wayne Newton to Elvis to even George Strait, some country stuff, Merle Haggard or whatever. The whole thing is we found out there's a dance community in this area that they want a two-step, they want a foxtrot, they want a ballroom dance. So, if you're playing music, they want a variety. They want to dance to all of those things. They're not just ballroom dancers. They want a two-step as well. So I try to sing a little bit of everything in that mixture. And the bands usually have different songs, too, that they may go from a waltz to a foxtrot or whatever. I've got some gentlemen that come in and play. It's called the Sounds Pretty Good Combo, and they're all older gentlemen, and when I say older, I say that respectfully. I think they're all north of 75 or 80, but they come in and they play all of those types of music, and people love it. They just love it, and so they can do their foxtrot and go right into a ballroom sequence or mambo or whatever. And so there's a variety of dancing going on in here. People that love to dance love to come out here and do what they do, which is their passion is to dance. They don't care what kind of music it is. They just want to dance.
Well, and you mentioned the foxtrot and the mambo and the different sorts of dances. You have dance instructors on hand lots of times who will teach you. So if you want to come by yourself, you might just take a dance lesson, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And the funny thing is, whenever we first opened up, probably the first weekend or two, we had a couple of people come out by the name of Happy and Kathy Brazil. And they're local dancers. And Happy came up to me and he says, "What would you feel about letting us be your dance coaches here?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, just let us come out here and dance with everybody, and we'll teach them. If they don't know how to dance, we'll teach them." So Happy and Kathy have been here since we opened, and they try to make most of our events. They even have their own dance the first Wednesday of every month called the Happy and Kathy Social. But they're in their 50s, I believe, maybe early 60. And they come out here and they will dance with everybody here. It doesn't matter if they've shown up with somebody or not, because there's always women that show up and go, "There's no men to dance with." And so Happy will dance with them. Same thing with some of the men that show up. They want to dance with somebody. But they always make them feel at home. And if they don't know the steps, they work with them and kind of teach them. And then on some of the band nights, I've got a lady named Lynn Thornton. She'll come out and do like a West Coast swing or East Coast swing or two-step or whatever it may be, whatever she chooses for that week. And people will come out before the show starts from 6 till 7 and learn how to dance, do that West Coast swing or whatever. And you don't have to have experience. You don't have to be a pro, nothing. Even if you've gone to 3 or 4 lessons, you're always going to learn something at the next lesson. So it's fun to come out, and I usually watch. I don't dance. I just sing. Everybody's like, "Why don't you dance? You have a dance place." I'm not into dancing. I love to watch dancing, but I just sing.
Well, you fill a good role here because you're an incredible singer. And I want to get into your background, Louie, too. But this is a lovely place to spend a night out. And you do have sort of, I would say, a limited menu. You can do private parties here and cater and do whatever you need to do. But on a typical night, what kind of food offerings do you have?
We usually have a chicken salad croissant or a ham and cheese croissant. We didn't open up to be a restaurant or even a bar for that matter, although we serve great mocktails and soft drinks. We can make people a sandwich, a fancy little plate with the potato chips and whatever if they're hungry. So some people will come out and have a little meal. It's really light and they're not getting real heavy, to go out and dance and all that stuff. But they'll have, a chicken salad sandwich or something with their beverage, and then they'll dance the night away. And
you said a lot of people like to come in here at 6 o'clock-ish, and the whole thing may be over by 9 o'clock. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. The doors open at 6 normally. The bands always start at 7. I start at 7. And by the time 9 o'clock hits, or 9:30, usually we'll go to 9:30 a lot of times, people are tired. They're ready to go home and watch the news and go to bed. So it works out great. We found out there's a demographic that they don't mind going out early in the evening and being done by 9 o'clock and heading out the door. And we've always got a doorman at the door. We always walk people to their cars, or at least watch them go to their cars. And we want everybody to feel safe. And we're in a great location here in Springfield in the McLeod Plaza, the corner of Walnut Lawn and Campbell. And it's a well-lit parking lot. It's just a safe environment. It's a beautiful room. People feel safe here. And that's what we want. We want them to have fun and feel safe and confident in, where they're at.
I'll bet you've met a lot of people. I mean, I know when you set out to open this place, you had it pictured in your head? Is it what you had it pictured, and are you just delighted with the people that you've met that come in and out regularly?
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. You make a ton of friends. I never imagined I'd have a nightclub per se, to have people coming in to see you every weekend. But I found that when I take the night off or something, everybody's asking, "Where's Louie?" And they wonder if I'm sick or whatever. But you get attached to these people, and they've all become like my parents. A lot of them are siblings, and you get to know them and what's going on in their day. And now they're all friends on Facebook with you, or following you, or wanting to know if Patty, my wife, if she's sick, where's she at tonight? Why isn't she here?
Where's Patty?
Yeah, they want to know. But as far as what we envision, there again, Mark Burgess, he's the man behind it. And his vision was to have a place to have his mother, who's 89 or 90. She's been here about every night that we've been open.
Really?
But one thing was for her to have somewhere to go and dance and be able to see people, but it was also a business we wanted to, or a need in the community we thought we could fill for people to go to. And we went to every 55 plus community. We went to every nursing home. We went everywhere when we first opened up, inviting everybody out for free. We wanted them to have a good time, come out and visit us. And the first several months, we had a lot of them come out here, and they'd bring their little bus from the home and bring them out here. And the very first time we had, I think, 3 buses in here of people. I don't know, there's maybe 50 of them total that came out to visit us. They were enjoying the band. The band took a break at 8 o'clock for a little intermission. Everybody started getting up and going to the buses. And we were like, it's not over yet. And the main lady came over to me. She says, no, honey, they're enjoying the show, but they just got to go home and go to bed. Yeah. So 8 o'clock, they were ready to go.
Okay, so that's part of your clientele, but you have a whole other clientele. You had a heck of a deal here New Year's Eve.
Oh, my gosh.
Tell me about that.
It was amazing. Isaac Kenneth, who is pretty well known around the Ozarks and become quite an entertainer and a good friend. I enjoy his company. We had him out last May during Memorial Day, and that gentleman made desserts. As you know, he's a chef. And this was a dessert show. I don't know if you knew that or not. But
I did not know Isaac Kenneth was a chef. You're kidding me.
Oh, my gosh. The guy's an incredible cook, let me tell you. He had custom desserts back during Memorial Day. He did a show here. We had, I don't know, there was 200 people here that night. And so I told him immediately, I was like, we have to do something for New Year's Eve or something. I want you back. And so over the course of the year, we visited off and on. And finally in November, we got serious about New Year's Eve. And I said, what do you want to do, man? The place is yours. And he's a great gentleman. If you ever get a chance, if you don't know him, meet him and say hello. But he's just a genuine, nice guy, which I am too. And no, I'm just kidding.
Yes, you're not kidding. He is a good guy, and I saw him. Holdfast, I believe, was the last place I saw him, and he was doing some great country.
Yeah, he does great country. He even does some Elvis. He's a big Elvis fan, which is where my heart's at. And he's just an amazing guy. So New Year's Eve, he actually had a buffet of hors d'oeuvres that he served to everybody. We have nearly 300 people in here that night, so he fed everybody. And I had sandwiches brought over from the Big Dog Deli, and so we had sandwiches and all of his hors d'oeuvres. So he fed the entire crowd. He made it all over the course of several days before the show. He comes up here and he performs. He's got Allie and the Alley Cats, which Allie is the sister of Tiny at Retro Metro.
That's Tiny's sister?
That's his sister.
Tiny has been on the podcast, absolutely, really.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, that's his sister. So she performed as well. And Isaac had his beautiful sister from Dallas up here. She sang as well. And so everybody had a blast that night. And we brought in the new year. We had balloons all hung up everywhere that dropped, and had a huge crowd. And before that, we had MDOC that week. So we had a really busy week that week. We had nearly 300 people for MDOC as well. And the whole floor, we didn't have much dance floor for anybody to dance, but it was a reunion show, and we packed the whole floor with VIP tables, and it was just beautiful. So, we can adapt this room to about anything anybody wants for events or concerts or shows or whatever.
Right, an MDOC band, for those who don't know, who are outside of our area, long time group here in the Ozarks that does some classic covers, everything from the Eagles to Foreigner to they're just so great. And I think they're kind of winding down a little bit now. They're not playing as many shows, so that had to be a special night.
It was, and that was their retirement night. So they actually had, I think, maybe 10 or 15 previous band members that have filtered in and out of the group over the last 30 years come out and perform with them. And Howard Cotner, he leads up the group, and he invited all all those guys out, and it was just an incredible show, an incredible night. So we were flying high that week. We had so many people in here and so much great entertainment. It was amazing.
So you never really know what you're going to get, but you will find out if you go to your website or you go to your Facebook page, because you're very good at promoting what's coming up. Did I see that you're actually doing some kind of a fitness class in here now?
Yeah, Tuesdays and Thursdays we have a young lady that does refit, and it's they actually shut off all the lights, and we've got the disco lights going and the sound and all that. But it's like what I would be reminiscent of maybe jazzercise or something, but it's all music and dancing.
Kind of aerobics, for lack of a better word, yeah.
Yeah, whatever they're doing nowadays as opposed to what we remember back in the day. Okay. But it's more of a modern dance and exercise class, and that's every Tuesday and Thursday.
Man, and it's just, it's this space can be whatever you want it to be. And like I said, this is as much an event space as it is a dance hall, for lack of a better term. And you say you've had all sorts of events, like sort of proms, wedding receptions, maybe? What all have you had in here?
2 weeks ago, we had a wedding.
Okay.
We've had funeral wakes. We've had high school proms. We've had political events. We've had business meetings. If you can imagine the room right now, where we're sitting here on the stage, we're out looking, we've got the footlights or the stage lights on us. The tables, there's 60 tables out on the floor. And if you can envision, for those of you at home, small round tables like you would see in a cocktail lounge. We had them all custom made with gold flake and black lacquer, and they're just beautiful. And we've got all these LED lamps that go on every table, so the ambiance and the feel in here is just really cool. Our light up stanchions by the door, the velvet ropes, all those little touches. Mark Burgess thought of those, and the lamps on the tables, and those are little things that really are cool accents that make people feel good. But we can change this room into anything anybody wants. We've got big round tables that we'll put out on the dance floor, and sometimes during the concerts we'll make those VIP tables, or if somebody's got a special meeting or something, we can set it up for that. We've got all kinds of video, audio, visual stuff that we can let them use, and it's kind of taken a life of its own. It's not just live entertainment and dancing. Now it's a complete event center, basically.
Well, it's a great place, and I love the big, giant black and white sort of poster of the Rat Pack back here, and here's one of the Sands in Vegas, so it sort of evokes that old school, just the old school kind of dance hall. It's just a great spot. Is it how you envisioned it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We wanted something that wasn't like everything else. Yeah. Obviously, you want to be different. You want to stand out or something. But the first thing people do when they walk in here, the bands and the patrons and everybody, they just love the feel. It transforms them into, they think they're in Kansas City or a bigger city type of venue. And I always say it's the classiest venue in Springfield, and I believe that. It's just got a different feel with the black velvet curtains all the way around the room, or at least halfway around it. The beautiful bar that's lit up, all the backlighting. And lighting, as you know, makes a home, makes a venue, makes a establishment. It's just really cool. So we tried to focus on that too, and had really good sound and lighting put in.
When is the perfect occasion to use Fazoli's catering? Studies have shown everyone loves Fazoli's signature pasta dishes, pizza, salads, and those famous breadsticks, which means Fazoli's is the perfect choice for any occasion. Nothing completes the winter season like a pasta party catered by Fazoli's. Every day is a good day for Italian, which means it's always the right time for Fazoli's. Your next catered event is just a click away at Fazoli's.com.
Fazoli's. Some people check the weather, others check our soup of the day. Hi, this is Jim with Jim's Steakhouse and Pub. Our soup of the day changes, but the comfort never does. Just check with your server, because nothing takes the edge off a cold day like whatever's simmering at Jim's.
When you walk through those legendary doors, you're gonna find there's so much to love. So do yourself a favor, dig that service and flavor. Jim's Steakhouse and Pub.
I want to hear more about Louie Michael. Louie, not the last time I saw you, but you were doing some work with Tony Orlando. My husband and I went down there to see his show. I think it might have been one Christmas or something. I'm not sure. Not that long ago. I love Tony, by the way. Wonderful person. But you have quite the history in the entertainment business. Talk about you. Where do you come from? What's your background?
I was born and raised here in Springfield. Went to Kickapoo High School, and after a failed baseball career, I thought I was going to sign with the minor league Cardinals. I had an offer, and I was a pitcher, and I got hurt. So I did the next best thing any young man could do. I became an Elvis impersonator.
Of course you did. Of course you did.
And that was in 1989, 90. Fast forward to, and in that time frame, but between getting the bad news of having an injury to the Elvis stuff, I tried to commit suicide. I had a really rough time, depression, went into a horrible depression, which is why I have my neversuicide.org now. I started that, and I go to schools and speak about suicide and depression.
Louie, I just want to stop you for a second. I'm glad you brought that up because I tend to, you are such a happy and optimistic person. I forget that about you. But I remember when you put it out there and talked about it, and I'm sure you have before. And I'm really impressed with that. I'm very proud of you because not everybody can go forward and talk about something that was that painful of a time, but here you are.
Well, and that's part of the reason why I talked about it. It seemed to bring people out to me to talk about their own problems. And I've worked with everybody from Duran Duran to P. Diddy to all these people on the road through the years, big artists. But being open about it actually was like opening a door to other people that you would have never imagined. Tony Orlando, he deals with it too. Tony was one of my idols growing up, and I met him 30 years ago, and he's become a great friend, and I love him, I adore him. But a lot of people don't know his brother committed suicide. Tony's dealt with depression. But it enabled me to be able to visit with people about that. The more I could talk about my own and getting over it, and I still suffer from depression, and still, you talk about me being optimistic and all that, I am. I try to be happy. But there's times that, people are happy that you don't see what's underneath. They're struggling. And I still struggle, and I admit to that. But I want other people to know that it's okay to not be okay. You may put on that smile every day and go to the office and nobody knows anything about you and they think you've got a wonderful life, but they don't know that you're dealing with something every day. And it may not be anything that anybody did to you. It's just you were born with this cloud over your head. Mm-hmm. And that's the way with me. I had a great family. My mom and dad are still around and I love them. I adore them. My mom was a prayer warrior. And if it wasn't for all of her prayers, I probably wouldn't have. So I drove to Busick one night down near Branson with a gun and ended up shooting through my windshield. And I was going to take my life. And God came to me and basically showed me a vision of what my mother would look like or what them telling her that they found me. And so I knew at that time I had to straighten my life out and get, things going again or be positive or try to get past that feeling of needing to disappear. And I did. So, and it's been a struggle through the years. I've got a great wife, great life. I've gotten to do so many cool things. And that's part of my story is that if you take your life, you don't know what tomorrow's going to hold. It may get worse. You don't know. Yeah. But then again, what if it gets better? And what if you get to experience things you never thought or imagined you would? Mm-hmm. And it was after that I ended up meeting Tony years ago. And the first time I met Tony, I got to tell you the story. I had an album, my 5th birthday. I had a Tony Orlando and Dawn album for my birthday. It was probably all my folks could muster up to get me. But I wanted that because he was on TV every night, on the show and everything.
I loved that show growing up. Loved it. Yeah.
And the very first thing when I met Tony, I brought him a picture. He was at the Roy Clark Theater. That was the very first place he played in Branson. I bought the whole front row. And so I took my family down there and we went and watched him. My daughter, who's 33 now or something, she was a year old, same age as Jenny, his daughter. And so anyway, I took him this picture of me holding this album. And I said, I just wanted you to know that I was a fan before today. And he just started crying. As you know, with Tony, when he's talking to you, you feel like you're the only person in the world. And he made me feel that way that night. But things like that, I never would have had that friendship if I had taken my life. I never would have got to do the Elvis. I never would have got to play with all of Elvis's buddies that, played with him. John Wilkinson, who was his rhythm guitar player, became a great friend. I was with him when he died. Who would have imagined? I watched this guy on TV on a VHS tape on the Aloha from Hawaii special that I had. Wow. But get to know all these people and to get to do all the things I got to do, I never would have got to do. So I just want to encourage people that just hang on, just wait, especially these young kids. You got a big life ahead of you. There's a lot to be experienced out there.
You say you went down to Busick State Park, you had a gun, and you shot through the windshield. Did you turn the gun toward the windshield or did you miss?
No, I turned it towards the windshield and fired it. And when it kicked back, it scraped my hand up. I didn't know how to handle a gun. And so it made me bleed and it scared me. And then all of a sudden, everything else went through my head. It gave me pause to go, what am I doing, this is going to hurt. I was a little scared too, but I had this vision of what it was going to be like when they went and told my parents that they found me down there, and I didn't want that.
My goodness. What would you say to somebody who might be listening that is having thoughts of something akin to that? Or, I mean, it just seems so easy to say, talk to someone. But what would you recommend someone do?
If you want to live a different life, if you don't like the life you're in, if it's that much of a struggle, sometimes it helps to go away and just to travel. I always tell people, if things are so bad, go like a Hallmark movie. Go move to Oregon and get a job at a Christmas tree farm. Maybe you'll meet the love of your life. Go somewhere outside of your norm.
Change of scenery.
Change of scenery. Sometimes it does wonders. Even for those of us that are married and have a job and stuff, sometimes just getting away to refresh your mind or see different things can totally change your outlook. And the main thing is just wait. And if you're on drugs, if you drink alcohol, any of that stuff, those are all things that are going to help you accomplish that horrible goal of taking your life, and it's going to bring down your inhibitions. Mm-hmm. Try not to do any of that. Don't get rid of those things that are causing you problems. And even with people in your life, if you're unhappy and those people that are making you unhappy all the time, distance yourself. My mom always said, you're known by the crowd you carry, and if they're up to no good or doing bad things, you got to separate yourself from that and be your own person and go do your own thing. But most of all, just wait. Just wait. It will change. It may get worse before it gets better, but it will change eventually, and you'll be able to do the things that you dreamed about.
And I do think finding someone to talk to, even if it's almost a stranger, anybody, I just think it might feel so much better for some people to do something before they do the ultimate thing, and I'm just so glad you're here. I'm just so glad you're here, Louie. I know your family is, and all your friends, and you've had quite the career. And talk about this organization, though, that you started. You actually had a fundraiser in here to raise money. When I saw something on your social media, you were putting together sandwiches and you were making some kind of kits or something. Tell me about that for this organization that you started.
Choosing to Live is what it's called, and it's neversuicide.org. I think we started it maybe 7 or 8 years ago. Mm-hmm. And the whole goal was to try to pay for people's medications or their doctor visits, or have a resource for them to call. And you can always dial 988 if you need help. Yeah. But my website, neversuicide.org, you can go there, and it's got a lot of the resources as well. But I've always loved, every winter that I'm home or whatever, it started out with me basically in the kitchen making cheese sandwiches. Mm-hmm. They're simple, they're easy, and if you want to do something for people, there's always people on the street that if you reach out your car window and say, would you like a sandwich? Most of the time they'll say yes, and they're grateful and appreciative, and I think we ought to bless other people in that way. You don't have to have a lot of money. You don't have to have a ton of friends or whatever, although I've got people, I got a friend Randy Foster and Brad Graff, my dentist, and different ones that have called me recently and go, hey, are we going this weekend? Are we going to go feed people? And I haven't been ready yet, but I'm like, yeah, you're right. We need to go feed people. It's going to be cold and we need to do something. But it's funny how that catches on to other people. They want to help too. And I post those things not to brag or say, look at me, what I'm doing, but it brings people in and they go, I want to help too, but I don't know how. And it's really easy. Put some food together or some socks in a bag, or go to Walmart and buy 3 or 4 bags of socks and hand them out to people as you see them. They're grateful for all that stuff and they're appreciative. And so I love doing that stuff. And so we've come up here too, and we've had the whole bar covered with sandwiches that we've made. They don't have to be fancy. They don't have to have mustard and mayonnaise and all that. Just cheese and some bread or ham or whatever. People appreciate it. They love it and they need it.
That is such a nice thing to do. I can tell by talking to you, you're a very spiritual guy. I was reading on your profile. Do I understand you were or are a fire department chaplain?
Yeah, amongst all the other duties, Chief Richard Sturts in Logan Rogersville has been a friend for the last, 15 years. And I think it was maybe 5 or 6 years ago, he asked me if I wouldn't mind being a chaplain and maybe make some, calls to some family members that he couldn't reach or something. Mm-hmm. And so since then, I've been a part of the fire department. I volunteer chaplain. And so I'll go out on call, sometimes a house fire, sometimes a suicide, sometimes car wrecks. I end up at a lot of car wrecks. But I will go to the families a lot of times and visit with them, or if it's a suicide, I'll go and let them know what happened. Mm-hmm. But yeah, who would have thought I'd be a chaplain? I never imagined that, but here I am. I went through the training, and And I love helping people. I just want to help. And I'm a crier, and I get emotional sometimes, and it's probably, they're probably thinking, what's wrong with this guy? He's supposed to be here helping me. But I do. I just feel for people, and I'm very empathetic and full of empathy. And sometimes it just overwhelms me. But I want them to know I'm human, too. We all hurt, and we all deal with things the best way we can. And same thing with the firemen. They deal with, people don't realize the stuff they see. And I've been out there with them, and you can't unsee that stuff, and it weighs on you. And they take all that home, and some of them just don't know how to deal with it. So I try to encourage them, too, to read or talk to people or call me or, whatever when they feel down and out.
Well, I love that story, and I do remember Rich Sturts from all my years in the newsroom, and he would always be so good and so kind to talk to us, but he saw something in you. He recognized something in you, which clearly you serve a purpose and you help people. And if you get emotional, it's because you've lived it and you feel it, and I think that people realize that because you're probably meeting with them at one of the worst times of their life.
Yeah, and I recall 2 or 3 winters ago, I went to a house where I held a mother that her son was hanging, 14-year-old son was hanging upstairs, had hung himself. And, what do you say to a parent other than all I could do was hold her and just comfort her? And that little boy had got a text message from somebody bullying him. And he was just out half hour before playing in the yard in the snow with his siblings. And they went upstairs and took his life. And people, I say that because I hope people are checking their kids' phones and talking to their kids, whether they're the ones being bullied or the ones that are bullying. They need counseling and they need help. And I was bullied as a child, and I get it. I understand what that feels like. But anyway, situations like that are really tough.
Oh, they have to be. But to think all of these things you do, Louie, I'm sitting here trying to figure out when in the world you sleep. And I'm always amazed when I have these conversations with people, the energy and the amount of things that people accomplish every day, especially in the hospitality realm, because there's a lot of late nights, there's a lot of planning, there's a lot on the line with this. You mentioned like Duran, Tony Orlando. What sort of work did you do when you were with these really very big name artists?
Everything from leasing their buses to I'd work fan meet and greets for like the Backstreet Boys or Justin Timberlake's manager, Dre, called me one day and said, hey, would you pick me and my wife up in L.A. and move us to Atlanta, Georgia? We just bought a house and I want to take a tour bus. And so I went and got them. I don't know if you know or ever visited with Gene Bicknell.
I remember Gene Bicknell, yeah, from the theater down in Branson, yeah.
I worked with him a lot, and I still visit with him every week when I can. He's getting pretty old, and most people may not remember it. He owned all the Pizza Huts in the country. He had National Pizza Company, and he sold it for about $1 billion. And so part of his money is wrapped up in the Mansion Theater down in Branson.
The Mansion Theater. Okay, you tell him I said hello.
I will.
Because he was so very kind. I remember when Peter Pan came here. Remember the musical Peter Pan with Kathy Rigby?
Yeah.
And I took our youngest daughter, Audrey. I think we went and saw it 3 times. AJ and I did. She was captivated with that show. And Gene was a character. Mm-hmm. I mean, he came out dressed as a pirate opening night, I believe it was. And he's great. Tell him hello for me.
I will. The last 2 books that he's put out in the last couple of 2 or 3 years, I did the voice on them. The first one was Never Fry Bacon in the Nude, which was a great business book, and I did that one. And he called me one day and said, Lou, you're a bestseller. So anyway, I recorded both of those down at the Mansion Theater for him. And he'll call me with a project like that every once in a while. And he was the one that, he'd tell me to go find a tour bus. And I'd tell him, say, hey, they want $300,000. He said, well, just tell them we'll get them a check. But he trusted me to take care of some things for him, and still does. And he's just a fabulous gentleman and a very amazing business mind. So I always enjoy getting to visit with him.
Oh, he was great. I remember getting to know him when that show came through. I actually got to fly. I don't know. You may or may not have even been around the theater that day, but they call him the Fly Guy, Paul. Oh my gosh, his name escapes me. He's done Broadway shows from Broadway and beyond all around. And he was here, and he's the one that flew Kathy Rigby. And they brought me down one day and rigged me up and had me fly. And she was trying to teach me how to fly and sprinkle the fairy dust and what have you. It's a lot harder than it looks. But yes, so I got to know Gene then. I did get to do that. I have photos somewhere. It was so much fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, Gene lives down in Florida, and he lives next door to Bobby Vinton, if you remember Bobby.
Everybody from Branson moved to Florida?
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
So he lives next door to him, and so they'll catch a ride on Gene's plane every now and then. But Bobby's daughters still live here, and of course his son Chris in Branson. My wife Patty, who saved my life, I met her 35 years ago, but she actually delivered Bobby's grandkids at Mercy Hospital. So, and her family being Polish and from Chicago, they were big Bobby Vinton fans, and we got to meet him back in the 90s and all that stuff. And it was it's weird how God has this way of bringing you around to people, and for her to get to meet Bobby Vinton, her mother thought, this is amazing. This would never happen. Have we gone to heaven or what?
And Bobby Vinton was in Branson back in the day, and it was at the Blue Denim Theater that he had?
Velvet Theater.
Blue Velvet. So sorry. I was close. I knew it was blue.
Yeah.
Blue Velvet Theater, for people who may not be familiar. Do it again.
She wore blue velvet. Okay. Wow. Anyway, yeah, it was the Blue Velvet Theater, BV Theater, which could also be Bobby Vinton, too. So.
Gotcha. Okay, Mr. Vinton, I am so sorry. I got the blue part. I was 50% right. But my goodness, what an amazing career you have had, and how much happiness you've brought to people here in Springfield with the Stardust Ballroom. And you're not open every night, correct? It's mostly weekends?
Yeah, that's correct. Usually Friday and Saturday we'll either have a band or just what we call a Stardust Social, and people will come out and dance to whether I have canned music playing or I'm singing for a couple hours. But they'll come out and dance to whatever's playing. And there's the same crowd that pretty much comes out all the time. And I never realized in Springfield that there was a dance community that I guess they used to mainly go to the Elks or the Eagles or whatever. But then once everybody realized that this place was here, it was a beautiful dance floor and wide open, and it's just got a great feel. Then we started getting this crowd out here all the time that were dancers, these people that have known each other for 20, 30 years and have learned together. And we had one instructor named Maureen Davis. Her husband was a Hamby who was in the plumbing business, but his brother had the restaurant down on Boonville.
With the fried chicken.
Yes.
Yes.
And so Mo would come out, and she's been out here since, but she'll come out and teach every once in a while on a Monday night or something, and she's 90, and she still does a great job teaching.
My husband's mom and dad, who've passed away, they loved to dance. They loved to go dancing, and they had some best friends that would go dancing, and they absolutely lived for that. They would go on cruises, and they would go on ones that had, it was specifically designed for people who like to dance, things like that. Are you finding that you have kind of that age crowd, but are you finding that you're getting some younger folks in here too, maybe sort of luring them in as well?
Oh, absolutely. There's a great dance school here called Sunshine Dance, and a gentleman named Don McCarthy owns it. Don McCarty. And he's got some younger people that do the West Coast swing and all this other stuff. And they're coming out here now. When they're done teaching over there, they come over here and dance. And they're in their early 20s and stuff. And watching these kids do what they do is just amazing. I love watching anybody dance. But they're out here dancing with the people that are 50 and the ones that are 75. And they're all dancing together just because it's the same love and passion that everybody shares is what brings them together, which is dance.
I just love hearing that. I do. I think that's so much fun, and it brings the generations together, to some degree. Real quick, you mentioned New Year's Eve, Christmas, Halloween. Yeah, I know you had a Halloween party. I'll bet you blow it out in here on holidays, celebrating during holidays. Am I right?
We do. And matter of fact, we've got Valentine's Day coming up. And so we've got a group out of Tulsa called the Backbeats, or Oklahoma City possibly. But they're called the Backbeats, and they're going to be playing here on Valentine's Day, and we're going to have just a fun night that night. It'll be a big dance as well. So hopefully people will buy their tickets and come on out, and they can get tickets at the stardustballroom.com. And they can get them that way, or they can buy them at the door, either way.
Okay, good to know. So stardustballroom.com, and of course your social media. You're very good at letting people know what's coming up. Louie, you are one interesting guy. Man, I could talk to you all day. Louie Michael from the Stardust Ballroom. Tell Patty I said hello. And thanks for joining me on Savor the Ozarks.
Thank you, and I enjoy watching and listening to all of your podcasts. We miss seeing you on TV all the time, and I don't know how long we've known each other, but I feel like you're one of my sisters, and I've known you forever. So thank you so much for caring and being out here.
Well, thank you. Love you to pieces.
Thank you. Love you, too.
Be sure to go to AroundTheOzarks.com to sign up for our daily newsletter where you can get every episode of Savor the Ozarks, plus all our other podcasts, events, and contests straight to your inbox. And what are your favorite dishes in the 417? You have any restaurants you'd like me to visit? Email me at joy@AroundTheOzarks.com.